allowed. And I will turn, just so you know, again, this is a Zoom meeting, so I'm going to have to stop it and start it once we have new participants, just to make sure that we can vet everybody. It is being recorded at this time. The recording will be available upon request to not only the applicants, but the general public. Chairman, if you want to go ahead and proceed, we do have some public comment. We've received 2 public comments prior to the meeting starting. And if you're on right now and have a public comment, please go ahead and open up the chat box and put your name, your address, and what you would like to discuss. So, Frank, if you would like me to go ahead and read the public comment, I can do so at this time.
Sure.
All right. Does anybody know a Lynn Salmon?
Yes.
Yeah, I do, Robert.
All right.
Pine Street.
Okay. Oh, yeah. This is from Lynn and Jim Salmon.
Are we called to order
Yes, we're calling for.
Sorry about that.
with no pledge again?
Right. Just want to say I'm Ellen chased right now instead of Frank. I don't know how to change that. So
No worries. Lynn or Jim, I see that you're connecting to the audio. If you would like to go ahead and just comment as opposed to me reading your letter into the record. It is a part of the record at this point, so I don't know if you wanted to expand upon that or not. Is there a Lynn? Well, anyway, we sent this out to you guys earlier. It says, on behalf of both of us, we oppose ordinance number 2020-06 and any change to the current effective Chapter 4 Animals Policy Regulation as written and enforced. We do not believe there is any need to change the current effective policy concerning allowable animals within the town of Windermere, particularly concerning the raising of poultry, or in this case, female chickens, for the sole purpose of producing eggs. In our 20 years of living in Windermere, this is the first we have heard of wanting to raise chickens in our town. In Section 1, Part A of the ordinance, the town council recognizes a general trend in society to pursue green lifestyle to incorporate fresher products into diets, quoting from a research paper written by Dr. Jacqueline P. Jacob, Poultry Extension Project Manager, University of Kentucky, for the use of United States Cooperation Extension Service. Some believe that eggs produced at home are more nutritious than store-bought eggs, but the research does not support that belief. In addition, a hen can lay approximately 250 eggs a year, about 5 eggs a week based on annual numbers. 4 hens can produce 20 eggs a week annually. You can buy 2 dozen eggs, 20% more, even organic eggs, for about $5.50 to $6 at any of your local grocers. So the cost of the chickens, chicken feed, and the require bedding, permits, fencing, coops, etc., makes a financial loss to raise eggs on this type of level. Therefore, the reason cannot be to save money. While we can see the benefit of growing your own vegetables, we do not benefit from the raising of your own chickens. Notwithstanding our opposition, this ordinance and the farming activity of raising chickens in a dense town area, and reviewing the draft of the ordinance number 2020-06, we believe there needs to be several considerations and to clarify of the guidelines presented in the draft to gain full understanding of what is being considered. And Brad Cornelius can address these once we get to the subject matter. Section 4-31, part 6, lines 91 through 96 clearly state that all chickens must be kept in a coop or enclosure at all times unless a special exemption is allowed for a claimed disability. Should an exemption be allowed, one direct person in interaction with the chicken is complete. Lines 95 through 96 state that the chicken shall be placed back into the coop, not the enclosure. 4-32, part 5, lines 123 through 125 identify the coop shall ventilated and covered and be fenced. Enclosure run area is required. Part 6, lines 126 through 128 clearly identify requirements for enclosures. Part 7, lines 129 through 132 clearly identify requirements for coops. Our point here is that the draft clearly recognizes 2 different items of the chicken living area, the coop, and the enclosure. In some parts, definitive minimum and maximum coop sizes are listed, lines 105, 112, 113, 133. However, there's no minimum or maximum restrictions for the required enclosure run, 123 through 124 is written in the coop. Be within the various setbacks requirements, but the enclosure run could impede on the setbacks and as the enclosure area is not defined as clearly as the coop. The coop could comply with the size limitations. However, the applicant could state that the run is the entire backyard of the property, pretty much, which is according to 4-3 to part 4 lines 119, 120. Must be surrounded by entire rear yard by an opaque fence. This ordinance is to be considered any further. We feel the coop and enclosures run should all be considered the chicken living area, and all requirements for setback, size, shade should be calculated from that area as a whole. In regards to the rear fencing, wall 4-32, part 4, lines 119-122, lists an opaque wall or fence must be built around the coop. Section 4-32, part 10, lines 136, 137, state that the coops, plural, not singular, as in line 119, shall be completely screened from the adjacent roadways and parcels by 6-foot tall opaque fence, wall, or equivalent vegetative material. We believe this language needs to be consistent throughout the regulation. If the idea is to have a CLA completely screened from view, we feel the term opaque fence is essential. Wall, by definition, is opaque, and both terms should be included. If the idea is to protect the chickens from rodents, predators, as such in section 4-32, part 6, lines 126 through 128, then we do not feel a vegetative material will suffice, as any rodent can get through a vegetative material. Also, sections 4-3-2, part 10, 136, 137 clearly state the coop shall be completely screened from adjacent roadways and parcels by the 6-foot fence material. As Windermere has many home sites which back up and share a boundary with the community parks, which may be considered a parcel of the public lakes, we believe language should be added along the lines of adjacent roadways and parcels and public domain waterways. If we do not want someone to see the CLA from the road, then we should not want them to see it from the park, lake as well. After all, Windermere is among the lakes. Our point is just that is to ask for more clarity and consistency regarding the rear yard surrounding fence. Lastly, we believe there needs to be some type of minimum. We believe there needs to be some type of minimum square footage to the rear lot size to be considered a CLA. Some of the town's parcels are small and have minimum lot lines. Even with a 25-foot setback from the residential structure, section 431, part 90 or 930, lines 117 through 118, and other requirements, it seems there needs to be enough space in the rear of the yard such that the CLA is not encompassing a majority of the whole backyard. We understand that this proposed ordinance is still a draft, and there could be many changes. However, we want to voice our opposition to the unneeded ordinance early and voice our thoughts on its drafted requirements should it need to go to first reading level. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. Respectfully, Lynn Selman, and I believe Jim Selman signed as well. So that's theirs. And then we also have another person that signed or provided public comment prior to the deadline. This one is from Douglas Kegler. I wasn't sure if I provided comments for chicken ordinance in this method or during the meeting. If I provided them verbally during the chicken ordinance discussion, then you can ignore this and I will speak up then during the meeting. 2 comments, my comments. 1, I question the requirement of 50 feet from the normal high water elevation, and there's so many residents on the lake that do not have more than 50 feet in the backyard, and this would unfairly restrict from having chickens versus residents that are not on a body of water. I would suggest it be removed or modified to 25 feet from the normal or high water elevation. Nowhere does the ordinance specify minimum or maximum size of the fence enclosure run, but says one is required. Douglas Kegler, 12 Pine Street, Windermere, Florida, 34786. So those are the only two. And if anybody else has any comments, public comments relative to this issue or any other issue, please sign in the chat box. There's a little icon. If you scroll and you'd be able to see it. Give it about 30 seconds. Mr. Kegler, currently, do you have any chickens or poultry on your property?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do.
You say how many?
Currently, there are 9 hens. And we had, before we had brought up bringing the ordinance to the town, we had, because we had code enforcement back in the early beginning of the year, we brought property in Gotha to put them. We, the past month, had to dig a new well, so we had no water there, so we brought the chickens back.
Yeah.
So the well is being dug this week, so we are going to be putting the chickens back over there.
Okay, just so you
we
know,
still would like,
just so you know that this will not, if this goes through, it will not be finalized until September. So you're currently in violation, and you probably will be receiving a notice of violation. I think Teresa sent it out on Monday.
yes, I understand.
Okay.
Is that what addresses that are the chickens at, like right now?
12 Pine Street. 12 Pine
'cause
Street.
somebody else has chickens
So-
by Main Street by us. I just wondered if it was the same one. Okay.
Yeah. Again,
So, Pine Street, P as in Paul, Pine Street.
Got
8th
it.
and Main has
no
chickens.
problem.
Right. 8th and Main
Yeah.
has chickens.
8th and Main.
Yeah, we hear them. They're chicking. They're clicking, clucking, clucking. Chickens cluck.
All right. At this time, Chairman, we do not see any further public comment, so I would turn the meeting over to you.
Okay. All right, I guess our first order of business is well, first of all, Bill William Yeager did resign due to work conflicts. So there's a letter attached to the agenda. So we have a new opening on the board. If anybody out there that's listening would be interested, we'd love to have you apply. And that's it on that. So we have also the board minutes to approve. So I wasn't at that meeting. I have no comment on it. Anybody have any issue with it?
No, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Dorothy, will Stephen Withers had his Form 8B. Will that be added to the minutes as well?
Yes.
Okay. So aside from that, any other comments? All right.
Council
All in
did
favor?
approve the pavilion.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, and then our first item is 10927 Bay Shore, 972 Bay Shore Drive. That's Z20-06. And I'll let Brad go ahead and present it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So everyone knows who I am. I'm Brad Cornelius with Wade Trim, serving as the town planner. I'll do what I typically do with y'all. The case number, as the chairman said, is Z20-06, and the address is 10972 Bay Shore Drive. This is a variance request. The applicant, the owner is Mike Wyatt, and their applicant representative is Daryl Nunley. Mr. Nunley is on the line with us this evening for this case. What the request is, they're requesting to be able to expand an existing non-conforming home. The home that's on the site has been there for many years, but it's currently non-conforming on the west-hand side with the side setback. What they're requesting to do is do additions to the home. It's good to do a garage addition as well as a living area bedroom addition to it. which would add 2,470 square feet to the home, which does exceed the 10% limitation. The existing home currently is approximately, I gotta look at my note here, is approximately 3,368 square feet. So that would allow them to do about 336 square feet of an addition. But they're asking to do 2,470 square feet. That's the first variance. The other variance that they have as part of this request is relating to the dock. Now they did, Mr. Nunley did submit a revision, and I do reflect it within your staff report. Initially, they were asking for the existing boathouse that's there that actually straddles the property line. Initially, they were asking to enclose it and put a deck out on the lake side of it, which would have a 0-foot setback, as well as then building the additional boat port that'll have a setback of 14 feet to the property line. They have, though, revised that request. They are no longer going to enclose the boathouse, and they're no longer asking for that deck there at the 0-foot setback. So that is no longer part of their request, and that part has been rescinded. So for the boat dock, their only request then is to add the boat port that you see on the plan, attaching it to the existing boathouse, which would have a 14-foot setback as opposed to the required 16-foot setback of the town. So that is the other variance that's being requested for this project. In terms of the house expansion, the expansion is going to be on the east side of the home where there is room to meet all the required setbacks. So the expansion, if it were to be approved, it would meet the setbacks required, both the side, the rear, and on the lake side. It also would meet the required maximum floor area ratio, as well as the impervious limitations. And of course, they would have to do a new stormwater plan for the property, and they would most likely also have to revise the septic system on the property. So that is the request. We did send out the notices for this project, or for this request. And I will let the board know I did receive additional ones even later this afternoon. Where we ended up on the request, we received 6 responses back in favor and 5 responses back in opposition. I will let the board know 2 of the ones in favor were from the neighbors on either side of the subject property. Those are new ones that we just received today.
Those were in favor?
They were
In
in
favor?
favor. Yes, they were in
Okay.
favor. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Brad, can you,
Yes.
one other question on those? Those were for the Orange County permit that I saw. Were they the ones that were emailed out later? Anybody know? Because that was just strictly for the boathouse permit.
Those were, yeah, and that's what you're right. Those were for the boathouse permit, correct. They had no objection to that. Related to the correspondence, I did have conversations with both adjacent property owners with this request. In your packet, you do see the email correspondence that I had with the neighbors. And basically they had questions. After I did answer their questions, I didn't get any formal response in terms of an opposition to it. The property owner that's on the west side of the property closest to the dock, that was their most significant concern, was the impact of the dock, which they did get the sign off for the county permit from that owner. On the other side, the east side, that neighbor's concern was impact to stormwater, impact with the septic. And so I did explain to him both of those would have to be accommodated and improved if this were to be approved, if this did get approved. So that is my quick report for you. If you have any questions for me, I know Mr. Nunley would like to present some information to you all.
Anybody have any questions for Brad right now?
I do. The existing boathouse that is sitting straddling the property line,
Yes, ma'am.
is it shared? I don't understand.
Mr. Nunley probably better answer for that than I do. When you look at it, there's a wall that sits between the two, so I believe it is shared between the two properties. But Mr. Nunley can answer that question better than I can.
Is that being demoed, or what is happening with that?
My understanding is that it will remain as is.
So is this an extension of that dock or an existing, an additional dock?
It'll be a new dock adjacent to the boathouse.
Okay, but not attached to it.
Not,
Well, it is attached to it.
yeah, I mean, it's attached to it, yes.
Okay.
Can I answer or do I just wait till later?
No, go ahead and talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way the design for the boat system for the future is to keep the walkway, keep the platform walkway, have what you call the shared dock, which technically it's like a duplex or a brownstone or a townhouse. It has a center series of columns that separate it, just as if you go to the front of it, it has a fence that goes all the way down the property line and separates the two properties. So even though they join each other, they're not shared. The neighbors don't walk about both sides. They stay on their own half. The walkway will stay as it is, but just be rebuilt with new material. And then the boat port will be on the east side of the walkout, freestanding. So the two roof systems will not be touching each other. It'll be two separate boat ports or boat docks with a shared walkway coming out between the two of them.
The boat port is going to be covered, right?
Yes, well, a portion of it will be. It'll have you can kind of see it in that picture as you were going up, Brad, or whoever was moving that.
Robert's got it there. There you go.
But yeah, but that drawing does show it as well.
Daryl,
This neighbor has a traditional boathouse that's a covered boat port with so it'd be like a traditional boat port. It won't have enclosed walls, wide open on all four sides.
My question, Daryl, is why do you need the 2 feet variance on that at all? I mean, 2 feet, you could just notch it over 2 feet and be done with it.
You're right. We could do 16 feet over, but then the walkway would have a 2-foot gap. So I'd have to either make the walkway wider or move I don't know exactly. At 14 feet, it touches the walkway. That was the reason.
is it a common walkway between the two neighbors to get to the terminal platform?
Not at all. If you can see that black shading, that's a fence line.
Mm-hmm.
And the walkway there's probably about 7 or 8 feet of grass between the fence and the walkway. And then the walkway comes straight to the far east side of the dock that the Waitayas is currently owned, which would be their half of the double boathouse. And then where those green lily pads are, that's where the new boat port will be. And this thing where the arrow is, that is a slide-on jet ski port and a deck. That'll go away.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Molly, go ahead.
So don't they take into calculations the existing boathouse
Yes,
for platform size?
they do. And the platform starts at the beginning of either the existing dock or the new dock. So if you're looking at the drawing, the overhead drawing, what they call the terminal platform starts at the front of the new boat port. And we are 880 square feet of total space, and 800 is permitted. So the county may deny this just because of the 880 versus 800. And that means the boat port would have to become smaller to be a maximum of 800 square feet.
Did they consider knocking down their half of the existing so they could get what they want?
The answer is yes, but then the neighbor next door, it impacts them. And that's why we thought by taking this off the table, we would not be forced to do that.
I kind of agree that would be a challenging situation to demo half of that boathouse and not impact the neighbor negatively.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I still can't see on the drawing what's new and what's old. So I
Me
don't know.
either.
I have no understanding why you would need to have it. I
Go to the
understand.
drawing and then I'll walk you through it.
Brad, do you want me to go ahead and authorize you to have annotations?
Yeah, if I can move your, or if you want me to share my screen, I have it up on mine as well, either way.
Yeah, I'll let you.
Steven, do you
share.
see the dark shading in the bottom left corner?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the new.
But there is an existing dock there now, right? You're
Well,
just
there's an existing walkway.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
That is correct. It's an open walkway. It'll stay open.
Okay, and you're making it a little wider, maybe?
It's supposed to be 4 feet now. We're going back with 4 feet.
So that isn't new.
It's new in material, but not new square footage. That's correct.
Did you say that the Sea-Doo port was going to not be there either?
Right now, it's one of those floating where you drive on. It goes away and gets incorporated in the new construction.
And so that is going to be built, the little offshoot there on the side as you're walking out.
On the back, I mean, the back
Yeah,
of it?
closer
Towards
to
that
the beach. There's just a part that comes out.
Right.
It gets
I just thought I heard that was going to be gone. I was just clarifying that.
Robert, it won't let me share my screen.
Yeah, the plastic will go away, but it becomes part of the wood new dock.
So Daryl, will the overhang of the roof, it'll be over the new, it'll be over the old existing dock?
No, there'd be two separate roof systems, standalone, because one's taller than the other. So they don't line up height-wise, because the existing boat port or boat house is around 9 feet tall, and the new one's gonna be around 12 feet tall.
And how wide is that lot? It's a little bit angled, but do you know how wide it is?
I've got 80 feet on the water, and let me grab the survey here.
Says 85 at the normal high water.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it measures 89.66, but they're calling it 85. And then, what is the front?
So the real reason this is even coming up, guys, is because we have a code that says if you increase your property by more than 10%, your facility, your home by more than 10%, then you have to abide by all existing code that is of that date. You don't get grandfathered in back to whenever the problem, whenever the non-conforming was put in.
But
Am I
that's
correct?
The way I'm understanding it is if you have a side or a front or a rear setback that's not to current code, then you're limited to the 10% expansion.
Right.
That's where the variance is coming in. If the side property line, which was the west side of the main house, was 13 feet, or I guess 13 and a half, whatever the percentage of the 12 and a half feet, if it was 13 and a half feet over, which right now it's 9 on the front, I believe, and 8 on the back. It's 9.7 on the front and 8.2 on the back. So if I was 13 and a half feet on the west side, I wouldn't be asking for a variance for the house at all, because I meet every other dimension.
Can we go back to the boat dock, get that one out of the way before we start talking about the house?
The boat dock is because of 0. Because the boathouse has a 0 setback, it's causing us to ask for a variance. Well, not really. We're asking for a variance for the boathouse because of 16 to 14. So,
Right.
But isn't the variance because the house is closer to the property? Now, the boathouse, that's not what it's in nonconformity about, is it, Brad?
No, the variance, as Daryl was starting to say there, the reason, especially with the request as of now, the reason for the variance for the boat dock is his new dock that he's putting in is less than 16 feet, which is required by the code. So that's
Right.
trigger need there.
Which has nothing to do with the house.
That is correct. Separate issue.
correct.
Or the existing boathouse, technically.
Correct.
It's like it's not there, right?
Right. It's its own standalone issue. That is correct.
Well, can I make a comment here? If I look at the plan,
There we go.
of the boathouse. The elevation shows the new and the old about 4 feet apart, yet the plan shows them touching. So there's something very wrong about your drawing, because your walkway is shown being covered in one of your drawing there with the new structure. Excuse me.
Well, that's either a typo or something's wrong, because the two roof systems do not touch each other.
Okay,
All right.
so,
Yeah.
so the site plan is wrong and
Well,
the elevation is right?
well, what I'm looking at with the arrow wiggling around the two roofs, they're not touching. There's air in between them. But when you look down on it, you see the dotted or the dashed lines. Those are the roof outlines. So
Well,
again, they're not touching either.
Daryl, the piece in our packet doesn't show that. The piece in our packet shows the roof of the new slip going all the way over and covering the entire part of that walkway.
Okay, well, that's not correct. And that may have been an accident before we took off the remodeling of the boat,
All right.
the enclosed portion. So what's on the screen right now is the latest and the most accurate version.
Right. And that is in your packet.
I don't know what page it's in your packet, but I believe it is in there.
Yeah, it is.
Page 14.
My question is, does the owner have access then to both boathouses?
No.
No.
Wait a
Kind
minute.
of. Are you talking
He has
about the two enclosed?
Well, the new one plus the half of the old one.
They would. If the new one existed, they would have access to both. And they would physically get to it by the one walkway.
So they are connected on the deck level.
Yes.
By the walkway.
Yes, the deck is at grade. The roof systems are not.
So Daryl, is there a demising wall or is it just columns between the two older boathouses?
There's 3 or 4 columns and they're open between each other. You can see each other's boats.
Okay, and then a side view of that same boathouse looking from the subject property side, is that open or is that a wall with a door going in there?
On the walkway, it's a solid wall with a people door. And on their side is the same thing, a solid wall with a people door. And then on the front, facing the backs of the houses, which would be the north wall, is solid. And I believe there's a window port in one of them. I don't know if it's in both of them. I can't remember, but there's a picture somewhere in there of the front. I have access to that if you want it.
Okay.
And then the backs are open, just like that drawing is. It's a traditional boathouse opening in the back.
Daryl, I understand now the walkway that's between the old structure and the new structure has all the piles and posts in place, right?
It exists as we speak today.
And we're going to replace those exactly where they are.
Exactly. Well, on the assumption that the posts have the proper spacing to meet structural integrity, yes.
Okay.
But this walk path from the house to the back of the boathouse will be replaced with new material.
Right.
Yeah, where that arrow is going up and down. And then this little rectangle thing here on the right, that's going away because it's being incorporated in the new boat port.
Got it.
Daryl, have you,
And then the water going in the back of the existing boathouse, that water will stay exactly as it is. There'll be no decking or blockage of any sort. No, to the far left. This,
Are they,
yeah,
are
right,
they not
with the
gonna
boat-
have
right
any-
there, right there. Yeah, that's going to stay exactly where the water is going to the back of the existing boathouse.
I don't see any other way to do this thing. If you're gonna keep the old boathouse, I don't really, it would be kind of silly to have a 2-foot gap between the walkway and the new dock. How would you get to the new dock? And then if you made the walkway 6 feet wide to get over that 2 feet. I mean,
It really
it's
kills
half
your
dozen.
impervious area.
Yeah, it's yeah, that increases the pervious. Yeah, what type of roof is on this? Just a standard roof, not a climb on and sit on roof? Just a
No,
regular.
a slight slope with a shingle. It won't be an upper deck with a railing. It won't be a double decker.
Daryl, this is a really challenging situation, and I think you've done a great job in trying to make the best of it. But I think you got your work cut out for you at the state and county level as well. Have you gotten any input from them?
No, just the county. I'm dealing with Jason Root, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
And he was asking for the letters of no objection. I got those yesterday from the neighbors. We had a nice long talk with all the neighbors, and they were very comfortable with what I'm proposing right now. And not only on the boathouse, but the house, but that had nothing to do with Orange County. But the we have not had a meeting or a hearing with Orange County yet. It's just been all paperwork and emails back and forth. But so far, we've adjusted everything we can to the best of our ability to get the minimum footprint as physically possible. We'll just have to see how it pans out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a question for the board, I guess. If the county comes out back and says something like, you know, it needs to go further out to be navigable and all that, what will that affect anything we do? Since usually we get all the county stuff's approved by the time we get it normally, I think. So
those are good questions, Jennifer, but the water depth there will handle a boat port exactly as we've drawn it. And if you look to the neighbors to the right, their boat port is similar, and they have a deeper area or a shallower area. They're pushed out towards the lake more. Theirs is more shallow. But we're confident with water depths, and you know, based on rain. I mean, the water level could always drop. That happens.
Yeah.
We have droughts. But
It's 5 feet deep at the end of the dock or in the boat slip.
it was 4 feet 10 inches.
So you'll be fine.
Yeah, the engineer did the measurements when he did the drawings.
Can we
So
deal with
the,
boat dock now and then go to the
Yeah.
house?
Yeah, I think we need to split these in 2 different items. So if, and our variance is based on side yard setback for the boathouse. So whatever the county decides beyond that is, you know, maybe it'll have to come back, but I tend to doubt it. So
I just wanted to comment that I have a real concern about 3 adjacent boat slips across 2 properties and the precedent that may set, because it's going to be crowded. It's going to look crowded. People are going to drive by it and see it's crowded. It's just a concern.
is there, the boat slip looks narrow. Has anybody measured the width of that boat slip versus, I mean,
Same width as the other one.
the existing boat slip? It looks narrower.
No, it's to code.
4, 6. It's probably 10 feet in the hole, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm
If
pretty
the
sure.
if the outside walkway is 2 feet wide
Well,
and the
10 foot is
center is
standard.
4.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's 10 feet.
I think it looks taller because it's higher, but I think they're the same width.
Yeah.
I have a question about if this does get approved, that if it will go on the record as a 0-foot setback variance approval, or will it be a 14-foot approval?
Because the 0 was withdrawn, it would be just an approval for the dock to be at a 14-foot setback, not 0. It would be 14.
Because we do not want to have in our history approving a 0-foot, so that
So, yeah,
for
this
sure
would be-
about that.
Yeah, so this would be if you were wanting to approve it, it would be a variance to allow a 14-foot side setback for the proposed.
Would be a 2-foot variance, so.
Correct.
Well, I have no objections to this boat dock piece. We want to,
Make your motion.
I make a motion to approve the boat dock as drawn.
I second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. I think it's gonna look really ugly, but that's what they want.
I'm opposed.
I was just gonna say, Norma?
Opposed.
Okay.
All right.
Norma, you're probably right about the looking crowded.
Carol, I think you're gonna have a hard time at the state and county, but good luck.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, now about the house.
So, yeah, let's delve into the house. Go ahead, Gerald, you want to give us a little explanation?
What's triggering the request for the house variance is the west side of the property being built years and years ago, and we honestly don't know which owner did the laundry room addition to the west side of the property. But when that happened, it became roughly 8 feet from the property line and in the back, and 9.7 feet in the front. Either way, it was below the 13.5 that's required for today's percentage of setback. So by that side being too skinny or too narrow, it forced the variance on any remodeling, whether it was adding the 3-car garage and no living space, or adding the 3-car garage and some living space. So either way, a variance is required. When the variance is required, unfortunately, because of the 10% rule, it really makes the neighbors think that a couple of these oppositions think we're going to 0 setbacks on the house, which is not correct, but they've confused the house with the boat thing. So I get that. But the bottom line is we've met all the impervious surface ratio requirements. We've talked to the county and the septic people. We've designed a septic system that will work. We've talked to the well people. We've designed a well system that will work. So the existing well and septic system is going to be completely brand new for this house. We've talked to the paver people, and we can do the minimal impervious, the extra impervious pavers to help with that as we get to that part of the construction process. And we've got enough land to keep all of our water on our site. I've met with neighbors on both sides of the property to explain that. They feel comfortable with what I've presented. The elevation of the house is going to be basically the exact look. In some of your pictures, you'll see as we scroll through, the owner or the buyer of the property has hired some people to do an elevation, some in pencil and pen and some in picture. And he's going to take the exact same look, that Cape Cod old farmhouse look, and make the whole structure look conducive and not look like an add-on or an afterthought. The products will all match, the windows will all match. It'll become basically a brand new house in 2021 or whenever it's finished. And I'd really just rather answer questions than give this big long.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What will the setbacks be on the addition on the side?
Okay, we have that.
They are slightly more than required of the 13. It's actually 13.4 feet, and they do meet that requirement. On this.
Are you basing it on a 100-foot lot, or how are we measuring this lot?
We have to
Brad?
measure it. The way the code has it is we have to measure the lot width at the widest point of the house and take 12.5% of that. So that's
Okay.
how we have to get to that number.
Okay, so that's why we're really looking at the 8.2 setback. That's what you're That's the widest part of the house, where on the west side it's
Right,
8.2.
right. And then actually, we do have to take into account with the addition, you know, where that'll be once they put in the addition. We have to look at what would be the end condition of the property of the house. So it does make it a little bit difficult for folks by having to do it that way, because, you know, a lot of people would typically think, well, whatever my lot with frontage is, I take 12.5% of that. That works if we're rectangular, but we have a lot of non-rectangular lots in the town.
Right, and that brings up my next point. The lot is not rectangular,
Right.
although at the front it's 9.7, which a lot of people get 10 feet nowadays somehow. I guess if that's a narrower lot, though, they can get a 10-foot side
Right,
setback.
they can only, yeah, 10 foot if it's an 80-foot lot, that allows for the 10-foot side setback.
It's a minimum of 10 foot.
Right.
Minimum of 10, maximum of 15.
So basically, you're not changing anything on the side that is currently not 12.
Not structurally. There will be some cosmetics, some siding. There's some rotted siding and some stuff. So there'll be some cosmetic changes, but there won't be any footprint changes at all. If this is approved, there won't be any
And
footprint.
what will the floor area ratio be if this is approved?
On the plan, it will at the end of the, it is,
Also, at the back of the house where the bedroom's being added, it tapers skinnier to give more side setback to the neighbor on the east.
based on the calculations that were provided, it'll be just under 38%.
Is that our limit?
And 38% is the maximum. 45% is for the impervious.
And it meets that?
And it also meets that as well.
Is that, Daryl, did I see you were gonna remove a brick patio or something to help with the impervious? Is that true?
We have to. The way it's designed right now, there's pavement coming all the way up to the front of the house on that western side. And it's parking pads because there's no garage now. So the family that lives there has 3 teenage drivers and 2 adults. They literally have 5 or 6 cars at all times scattered out the front yard. So all of that paver area is required for them to work. The new family having the garage and the plan for the circular driveway, they don't need any of that up there by the house.
So that'll be gone.
It'll be gone. It'll become landscape material and not paver material.
Daryl, my question is, there are 2 drawings. The one you see there with the blue on it,
Yes.
which shows the lakeside edge of that blue lining up with the other side of the house. And then
that's a very poor thing of mine that I created just to kind of give rough sketches for the thing. But as you get deeper into it, there's a drawing that has some red on it.
Yes.
That's better for the true floor plan.
So the one right before it in our packet shows
That
that
one.
addition extending much further out towards the lake than your sketch.
Yes,
And that's where it's going to be, out there.
if this is approved and the building permit plans are approved. Yes.
Now, the next question is, where is, several people commented about the septic tank. Where is the septic tank going?
At this very minute, the tank is under all of the red, but it's going out into the side yard because it's going to be the aerobic system. So it's going to be going up and down where that arrow's going, and it'll be straddling the driveway and going into some of this new vegetation we're creating on the west side of the front of the house. So it's going to go the left-hand side, or which would be the east side, and then all the way across the face.
So we have the setback for that?
15 feet on the sides and the front. It does work.
How
Or
far?
I'm sorry, 5 feet. 5 feet. It has to be 5 feet off the property line. And it does work.
It has to be 5 foot from the building too.
That's right. And there's like 14-ish feet in a long trench going up and down.
So you're gonna have a 4-foot septic
Septic
Well,
tank?
it's one of those aerobic systems. So it's almost like an irrigation drip system, and it just goes wherever it can go under pressure.
Right?
Now, in the new plan, that's a circular driveway. The brick is extended all the way around to Bay Shore again.
It is.
So where is the septic tank going?
The tanks will be in the front.
In the
Straight out the
circle?
front door?
No, I'm wrong. Hold on a second. I'm wrong. The tanks will be right in this back corner
Which back corner?
Northeast, southwest?
by the pool to the right of the pool, which would be the right rear.
The septic tank?
Yeah, the septic tank right now is in the middle of the house to the right, and they're going to move it back.
Towards the
Right.
lake.
I think you
Towards-
got to be 120 or 150 feet from the lake.
Yeah,
80
it just-
feet.
yeah,
80
just-
feet.
Well, that's with a variance, I think. 70
it-
with a variance.
We don't need a variance on the septic design. It's already, it meets the standards if this footprint is approved.
Where's the well?
Right now, it's right here, this little black dot in the bottom left corner, and they're moving that to the front. They're gonna get a brand new well system. Yeah, that black dot, there, right where the, yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
the well now,
Okay. So you're far enough away from the septic.
Okay.
to-
right?
Do
And
they
it'll
have,
be, and technically it'll be further away because the way the
Yeah, right.
new
moving it
system is designed.
do they have their berm and swale intact?
They have it on the plan, and right now it's existing in the yard and back.
What would happen when they would come through the building permitting, if this were to be approved? They would have to provide an engineering plan to verify whether or not that would have to be expanded for the additional impervious that's being added. So that would be, they would have to be sure that they have sufficient capacity within their berm and soil system.
Mr. Kegler is asking, where is the neighbor's well?
Which neighbor, east or west?
It would be the one on the east.
His is at the top right corner,
No,
almost where that black,
on the opposite side, the side where the septic system's going.
see that
But
black
uphill.
square up there?
The side that the septic system and drain field's gonna be on is where would be the well of concern. So,
Yeah, Mr. Solomon owns that property, and we've shown him our design, and right now his well is, you know, where it currently is, and the septic and drain field is in the exact same distance from his well now, or the drain field is now, and it won't get any closer.
But does it meet current code?
It does, yes, it meets current code, but it's, you know, a different system all jumbled up into this area. And his well's at the top right corner of this page. And the septic tanks are closer to his well now than they will be after our design.
So the only variance request really is associated with the setback on the west side.
Correct. If that physical room did not exist, we would not be here tonight.
So the variance is to allow him to expand beyond the 10% limitation to do these additions that are being proposed.
Because
Without
of the
bringing it into
setback.
code.
Without, right, which would basically require, to bring it into code, he would have to tear down part of the house or do something like that to 5 feet.
I'll just throw it out there. I think that's a laundry room that's close there. You stated in the beginning.
It is.
Is that something that they could design into their addition? A laundry room?
They could.
Is this a 1-story, 2-story?
Two-story two-story house and will continue to be a two-story house with the additions of second floor included as well.
So the
Is
part
it two,
that,
let me ask one more thing. Is it two-story on the west side now?
No, not well. No, not on the west side. More central.
yeah,
it
I
will
think-
be.
There should be a front picture.
show the picture, because that's only one story now that they would have to tear down. or
Yeah,
a
this
portion
this
of
little
it.
addition right here is what we're talking about. Is the
Well,
encroachment.
Well, so that's what it looks like now?
Correct. And it won't change. This whole right-hand side won't change at all. The construction is to the left-hand side. So it won't be a two-story on the right. It'll always be a staggered one story.
Oh,
And meeting with the neighbor on the right-hand side, which is the west side last night, they've never had a problem with that area. It's out of sight, out of mind. They've got their hedge system there. So
what about if it's two-story though?
It won't be. We're not doing two-story on the right-hand side.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah, it will not change. The footprint, the elevation on the right will not change.
Okay.
Just on the left.
All right.
And we're willing to sign that tonight because we've already designed the plans, and I think you'll see there's pictures of it as we go through that don't have anything on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna like it if it was going up to a second floor on that side, but no construction over there basically is what you're saying. It's all the east
Yeah.
side, the front yard. and
Correct.
moving the septic.
Some of the pages, as we scroll down, you'll see the new project and the right-hand side. Other than, well, there's a window drawn on this, which may be different, but there's no elevation change on the right-hand side, which would be the west side. And as far as overall size, some of the complaints were it was too big a house. It square footage wise is no different than any of the houses up and down the street. And a lot of the houses up and down the street have detached garages that are right on or very close to the property line. So they would, technically need a variance today if they wanted to build on their house or remodel their house.
Where is the 50-foot setback line on the site plan?
Oh,
I saw one, Stephen, I think going across the corner of the pool deck.
I think it is the pool fence.
Which is where?
I'm in the yard. Well, it's beyond the pool, going towards the lake.
Basically where the retaining wall for the pool is.
Yeah, if you look
Oh,
in
I
the
see.
backyard, there's a dog fence. I think that's the 50-foot, but we won't be getting anywhere near the
Right,
water.
okay, I'm just curious where it was.
50-foot goes.
103, 105.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve and see where it goes.
I'll second.
How large of a lot is this? Acres wise?
Overall square footage?
Yeah.
Bear with me 1 second. I have that. That I do have. What do I do with it?
Quick question, anybody concerned about the number of opposed neighbors we have?
Where were,
The opposition, it was kind of scattered. We had a few that were on Bay Shore, but they were down near the end by the cul-de-sac. We had one that was in the next street to the north in opposition. So we didn't have any opposition of folks that were right around this property. It was more, the two that we received today, I will say, one just said, as Mr. Nunley said, they just said it was too big. Another person said they were against it because they tried to get a variance many years ago and they got denied. And did not
Okay.
understand.
How many bedrooms will this house have when it's done?
5 bedrooms and 4.5 bathrooms.
Well, I think it's a nice plan, and the house definitely needs a garage. I mean, it's surprising.
Basically, they're adding a garage and then a master upstairs, right?
The master's gonna be behind the garage.
On the
What's
ground
up-
floor.
Yeah.
What's
yeah,
upstairs?
Yeah,
More
right now
bedrooms?
there's no bedrooms at all on the first floor, and there's no garage. So they're basically creating, taking a very nice cottage and bringing it into 2020, what people's lifestyles are currently.
Yeah.
Garages and master bedrooms on the bottom floor.
So it's only a 2-bedroom house now?
It's a 3-bedroom, but they're all upstairs.
So they're adding 3 bedrooms?
They're
So it's a
taking
6-bedroom?
No, not exactly. They're taking 2 of the bedrooms upstairs and making that a game room, and then putting 2 bedrooms over the new garage, master bedroom addition. So they'll have, the 4 bedrooms upstairs, and then the master downstairs. So it'll be a 5 total, with a game room upstairs.
Well, I'm okay with it too. Looking at the picture right there, it's the smallest house in the shot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
drove down the street today
Yeah, let me see.
and there's pretty big houses out there.
Right.
At least adjacent, so.
Even the people who complain that it was too big have houses that are 5,000 plus square feet.
Some do.
And this will still be setting further back from the lake than any of his neighbors, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. So the objections were, I tried and I couldn't get one either.
Yeah, that was one of,
And
right. And just some folks felt it was too large.
it was just too big.
Right.
Septic was a big issue.
Yeah, I think the gentleman who complained about not being able to get his variance was thinking that I was going for a 0 house variance.
Yeah.
He confused the old boat request with the house request. And that's easy to do if you read it real fast.
Yeah. I got more problem with the dock than I do with the house.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
All right, any more discussion?
Well, Daryl was going to tell me how large the lot was, but I see a
Right.
photo here that I'm seeing the comparisons now. So if you can't find it, Daryl, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't have the exact square footage, so I don't want to tell you wrong.
It's
Yeah,
36.
That's okay. I was just trying to get an idea of how this would fit, and I can see.
The area,
37,200.
roughly the area landward of the normal high water, this is a rough calculation, is about 22,000 square feet. The area that's upland, because
Okay.
this is one of those lots that goes way out to the lake. The
Oh,
dry
it goes way around, yeah.
Yeah, but the dry part's about 22,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's
Is that a
23
shed?
yeah.
Or is that
Yeah,
a
it's like
shed or
it's like
something?
a quarter. Yeah, there's a little shed. That shed's going to go away. That's the septic system is just attached, abutting that shed right now currently.
So the only reason we're even discussing this is because of that little bump out on the left. And then, but
That's
other
exactly
than that, you wouldn't even be here. So,
Right.
and we're still, even with
Otherwise, it'd
that
be
bump
over.
out, we're meeting all the FARs and everything else. So I have no problem with it. So,
I have no further questions.
okay, anybody else? Can I get a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? Norma, you're in?
I'm in, yes.
Okay. All right, I believe that was everyone. Anybody against? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Daryl.
Have a great night.
Thank you,
All
you
right.
too.
We have, next is case number Z20-08. This is 711, I think. Is this the Second Avenue?
Yes, sir. 711 West Second Avenue.
All right, I'm gonna fill us in.
Yes, sir. Again, this is case Z20-08. It's 711 West Second Avenue. The owners are Scott and Stephanie Whites, and the representative is Sheila Sikra.
Let me interrupt you just one
Yes.
moment. I'm sorry. I am going to abstain from voting on this item because my mother owns the property directly adjacent to it. And so I've already submitted my form to Dorothy, and now you can go ahead and proceed. I just want to
Okay.
get that out.
Thank you, sir.
Why would that qualify for an abstaining?
Shouldn't.
If it's a life estate and I'm on the will, and that is eventually could end up in, I have a, yes.
Oh, that's in your family's property. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Right.
Yeah, we had our legal team take a look at it, and not only, with the life estate, but the appearance of impropriety as well. So
Okay.
it's better to go ahead and abstain from voting on this. You can still make comments, but you cannot vote on this.
And I knew that without the legal team looking at it. So anyway, all right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So as I said, this is at 711 West Second Avenue, and Ms. Sikra and the Whites are online here to provide any additional information for this case. What this variance is related to, there's an existing dock on the property that's being proposed to be replaced with a new dock. They have already gone through permitting with Orange County, and they actually have, since the staff report was put together, they have received the Orange County permit for this dock. So now it's here before the Development Review Board. The reason for the variance, the existing dock, it encroaches already across the property line. According to the information provided in the application, the existing dock encroaches 3 feet across the property line, extended out into the water. What they're proposing to do with the new dock is to move it 4 feet to the west, and that would then leave it at 1 foot with a 1 foot setback from the property line as opposed to the required 16-foot setback. So it would be a 15-foot variance from going from 16 to 1, but they are eliminating the encroachment, and so they are making that better in terms of the encroachment. That's the request. It's pretty straightforward. That's what they're asking the variance for. They did provide their reasoning for their justification in their application. We did send out notices for this one. For this one, we received 10 notices in favor. We did receive more of those late this afternoon, but we did receive 10 in favor. We received 2 in objection, and 1 we received, they asked for a compromise, and what they stated was they believed a 7-foot setback would be reasonable. So we had 10 in favor, 2 in opposition, and 1 person who recommended a 7-foot setback in terms of the public notices. So that's all the information I have for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or Ms. Sikra can provide you additional information.
So go ahead.
My understanding is they're moving it already.
They will be moving it. I mean, they're not moving it yet. They don't have the permit.
No, I understand, but their proposal is that they are actually, they're not building it where it is, they're moving it.
Right, they're moving it to eliminate the encroachment and have it at a 1 foot setback off the property.
So why don't they move it so it's not got any encroachment?
That is a question for Ms. Sikra.
Where were the objectors located?
Let me look at my map. I think we have them on my map here. 1 second. The objectors were located across the street on West Second Avenue. So they were not adjacent to the property. They were on the other side of West Second from the applicant.
And what was the reason for the objections? Did they?
The objections, and I can tell you, real quick. The one objection is there's no hardship with 132 foot of frontage. Variances are for a hardship. The dock that is there is 20 years old. I am sure it will be torn down to match their new home. The 16-foot setback is to protect all lakefront property, and the lake views do not allow this. Do the right thing. And the other disapproval had nothing written on it. They just checked the box. They disapproved.
I have a question. If they were to rebuild right where it was, would that be allowed?
If they were to rebuild it where it was, because the town has adopted the county's dock ordinance, my understanding is if the county would allow them to rebuild it in place, then we would also allow them to rebuild it in place. Even with, as long as it's the same footprint, same size, there's no change to it.
So it's grandfathered in.
So basically, right. Because that part, we do follow the county's code for that.
So the way it is, it may be 16 feet. I don't know what it is, the walkway.
Right.
It's when it gets down to the platform that it encroaches.
That's correct. That's correct.
And when they rebuild it, the part that's going to be closest to that neighbor, is that going to be covered?
Ms. Sickert can answer that question better than I can.
Yeah, a roof, but no walls. The current structure is completely enclosed.
So how wide is the lot there at the high water line or at the lake?
132 feet.
132 feet?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a hardship here?
It's a view issue.
Most lots in town are 100 feet wide, and people are able to meet the setback.
A view issue is not a hardship. It's a
Right.
want.
Or is
That's
it an
just a
issue-
pleasure.
Or is it an issue of a future possible splitting the lot?
I've not heard
Oh,
anything about that.
Because that's a big lot.
132 feet. Mm.
I mean, that could easily be split.
It could only be split if it was 2 acres.
Right, or if it would go back to the original underlying plat.
Or if they ask for a variance.
Well, but
Well,
we
new lots have to be an acre, I think, on the lake.
Yeah.
Right, unless it's a platted, but right, if it's being newly created, it has to be an acre.
I think
Right.
there's a frontage requirement too, road frontage, so. but-
Right.
But it raises the
300
question,
foot.
why wouldn't you move it to meet variant? Why wouldn't you move it to meet code?
Because that puts it pretty much in the middle of their view.
It's 132 feet. How wide is the dock? 16, 26, 30 feet wide. You still
30
have
feet.
100 feet. You still have
Well-
100 feet.
That outside corner would have to be 16 feet away from the property line.
Yeah.
So 16 and 30, that's 46, that's almost 50 feet, and the property pies. So as it goes out into the water, it's 132 feet at that diagonal. It's actually only about 100, and I can measure it, but it's probably about 120 feet, if that.
I don't see any hardship with the width of the lake. Hasn't been stated anything but a view for the hardship that I've heard.
Well, I mean, this is where, I want a Cadillac, but I can only afford a Volkswagen, so give me a variance, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
I can let the homeowners are on here as well, and we can let them elaborate. I know that the biggest reason was the view obstruction. I just didn't want to build they have a big enclosed boathouse there, and they're willing to take away something that's non-compliant, actually 2 non-compliances. There's an encroachment across the property line. The adjacent property owner doesn't have a problem with it, and they're the only ones that are actually impacted. They get that big, ugly enclosed structure taken away, which improves their view. And my homeowner, doesn't have to obstruct their view quite as much. Like they said, they could rebuild it in the same location, and they could rebuild an enclosed boathouse, but they're giving up a couple of non-compliance issues to be more compliant.
Well, I think if it's non-conforming, I'm not sure exactly, but I think it would apply to boathouses also. And it could be considered non-conforming. I don't know if the county would approve that.
They've already approved Oh, you mean if we left it
As far
same
as the
size?
setbacks.
They would allow you to replace it in the exact same footprint even with the negative encroachment. But it would have to be in the exact same footprint.
Yeah.
Is it, Brad, is it true that you can rebuild an enclosed boathouse? Or do you know?
The way the county's boat dock ordinance, which is what this falls under, it doesn't fall under the town standard nonconformity, because there is a specific ordinance that the town did adopt. That's the county. I do know that the Orange County Environmental Protection has approved enclosed boat docks to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
We have had at least one that I can recall in the last year that was approved. But as Ms. Sikra said, it's very limited. They have to maintain the same footprint. They can't increase the size. So there are limitations to it.
What is this? What is the size of the existing boathouse?
It is substantial. I will measure it. I wanted to just mention while I'm measuring this, how does this differ from the last variance? So if we were just to take off part of this boathouse and add back a couple of open slips, it would be about the exact same variance as the last one that you just approved. They have an existing non-conforming boathouse because it's too close to the property line and they want to add on to it. We're taking our enclosed boathouse completely away and moving away from the property line. It seems like that's a lot more of a compliant structure than the one you just approved.
Well, the difference with the other one was if they would, it was shared by two property owners. So if they demoed one, it negatively impacted the other.
And we only gave a 2-foot variance, basically.
Oh, 2-foot setback.
You're like all the way in the setback. You're you're taking up the whole setback area with this.
But when you have an existing structure, if you add on to the compliant side, you still have to claim the setback of the existing structure, which was 2 feet in this case, and we're asking for 1 foot. I have to measure this thing again. It didn't show up right.
No, because
there was a hardship there with the last one.
Right. The last one was, the DRB approved a 14-foot setback for basically a new dock extension. And I do want to just make the board aware, and Robert can support me on this. When you look at a variance, you need to look at each property on its own individual merits and not use other variances because, and this is a statement in your code for variances.
Everybody does.
Right. It is the specifics of the property and the circumstances, not what somebody else may or may not have gotten.
Right.
So what I'm getting, so you think that the boathouse that's currently there is approximately the same size as what they're requesting?
I'm trying to measure it here, and it looks like it's coming up with about 600 square feet just for the enclosed boathouse itself. And what we're trying to put back out there is 28 by 26 plus 5 times 16, 800 square feet.
It's 30 by 28 plus the walkway of 30.
So there's 200 more square feet at least.
30 times 4
they're going for
is 120. And then 30.
Yeah, the survey that I have doesn't have dimensions on the boathouse, so I just measured using the property appraiser's website.
Yeah. So just so everybody knows, if they decided to keep this boathouse, they could enclose it, but it couldn't go to 800 square feet. It would have to stay at 600 square feet.
Right.
Okay.
And when I add up all those numbers, it's approximately 1,000, counting the walkway, around 1,000.
They don't count the walkway anymore. They used
Okay.
to in the old
Okay,
days.
so it's about 900.
And they don't count the overhang.
Really? Okay.
No.
They just count the platform
Yeah.
at the
Okay, well,
end.
assuming
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking at on the site plan. I really don't see a hardship here. I mean, if they want to keep what they have, that's not an
We
issue.
should give the
You're just
property
wanting
owners
them
an
to tear it down.
opportunity to speak. So I see.
Would you consider less of a setback, more of a
You mean like
setback?
split the difference and go to 8 feet instead of 16?
Yes, I mean, I'd like the homeowner to chime in here, but you've granted variances like this before, and it's not, I know you're not allowed to compare variances, but I don't see how, one can be separated.
And this design kind of takes away from the use of your dock, because many times someone may pull up on either side of your dock if they're visiting you, or if you wanted to get a smaller boat or a sailboat, you could navigate around that to get to it. There's reasons for these setbacks.
Oh, yeah. So somebody comes over and they want to park off of your dock on the west side.
I mean,
They'd be on somebody else's property, basically, you're saying.
Right, but
Yeah.
there is plenty of room in between the two structures, but they can't park there because the county, if they were to moor a boat there, the county considers that square footage. So, I mean, they could tie up there temporarily. There still would be plenty of room between their boathouse and the adjacent one, but they couldn't leave something there.
Hello, this is Stephanie Wise. Do I have permission to speak?
Yes.
Sure.
Hi there. Respectfully, we are really just trying to replace an old antiquated dock with a new one. The old dock that's currently there, the boat slip is actually very narrow. It only holds like a little John boat. It doesn't hold a normal sized boat that most people own or would own. And so that's the main reason, in truth, that we wanted to create this slip. We were told that we couldn't expand the existing dock to be modified for a larger slip, and that's kind of how this all was started. Then we found out that the current boat dock encroaches over on the Strickland's property, our neighbor there. And in speaking to them, and as you have in your packet there, the Stricklands were happy to agree to this variance for us. And I think was also noted that 10 nearby neighbors all approved. So to us, this was just beautifying, replacing the dock, just kind of a new version of a current dock in the exact same place. We're actually fixing an encroachment issue so that we're not over on their property. But it really is just a replacement and an update and an expansion for the boat slip to fit, really. Sorry, our cuckoo clock just went off. And so that, that's the reason for why it's there. We really thought that it was just just making it prettier, a prettier version. We're taking down like a really old, dilapidated enclosure that doesn't look very nice, and trying to kind of elevate it. And
I think
also,
that's great. I think that's great.
As you can see by the property appraiser's shot in this slideshow somewhere, we're actually, when it goes into the lake, we're actually going to be, I think, a half a foot in. So we're not even going to be as far out as the current dock is. I think, Sheila, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we're actually a little bit, a half of a foot or a foot closer to the property line.
Yeah, the total length of the new boathouse would be a little bit shorter than the existing one.
The current boathouse has 2 little slips. It's a really kind of funny thing. There's the side closest to the Stricklands, the neighbor there, it has a slip, but there's not actually a door to get into it, like a style. So there's two slips and you can't even get into one. So it's just kind of really odd and really outdated.
Okay.
I want to say, if you follow the blue line out on the property line, that's actually where you can see the structure there. It's not the dock in yellow out there, but that's the structure of the boathouse, just to clarify.
Oh.
Kind of an L shape there.
Right.
It's an L shape. It's not, that's the two structure, or the two slips I was talking about, the one that doesn't even have a door to the lake.
So that's what actually encroaches across the property line right now.
So that yellow line across it, that's existing? That's part of the,
That's the walkway. That's the dock going out. All of that's existing, but yes, that's the walkway out to the current dock. I don't know what.
like a platform.
Right.
And if you
that's the
picture,
platform.
I'm sorry to interrupt, if you picture running that blue line out, if you kind of put your pointer right straight out, you'll see how far away the new structure would still be from the adjacent boat dock. There's still quite a bit of room in between them.
And just to reiterate, the Stricklands, who are the next door neighbors, have joined in, and you have her signature there.
Oh, so that's just a platform at the end of that green line.
Yes.
Oh, and the boathouse itself is basically on shore.
That's
Yes.
correct.
That's ugly. So how far out is that platform, right? I mean, the walkway there. Is that the 16-foot setback?
Well, let me measure it, because I have the line extended right now. I extended the property line out and then ran it over, and it is 8 feet off the property line currently. 8.3 is what it measured.
Well, I'd be open to doing an 8-foot setback and splitting the difference.
I still
With
can't
no
feel,
hardship? Are we just trying to
be nice.
Well,
be happy
thinking-
and make friends, or are we gonna hold our code?
Well, I'm just thinking that for the neighbor, it's a better situation than what they've got.
Yeah.
But obviously, it sounds like the existing old boathouse is hardly usable, so they're gonna need to replace it anyway, it sounds like. So therefore, why not comply with the setbacks?
Okay. All right.
That dotted line down the middle of the lot, is that previously a separate lot there?
Yeah, at some point in the past, well, long past.
Like
these
maybe they
lots-
sold off half or something?
Lots were readjusted and adjusted.
Mhm.
You can
West Second Avenue is quite a different.
I think they split lot 19C, if you see in the picture there, see the blue line down the middle
Yeah.
of 19C. I think that was split in half and split between the two properties.
Okay.
So can it be subdivided again on a sale?
No.
No.
It won't meet current code.
But if a plat exists now and you own the property,
Well, I mean, if someone were to buy the property adjacent to it where 19C is and were to tear that house down, potentially they'd come in and ask for.
Yeah, because you'd be selling a non-conforming lot. It would be an unbuildable
Yeah.
lot.
Right now, they can't do anything with it.
but the lot that this boathouse is in question, that we're talking about now, that cannot be subdivided if
As it
they
sits
sell it.
today. Right, as it sits today, it could not be split as it is today. Correct.
And if you look at the blue lines where they are, and you look at the neighbors, I mean, the neighbors to the north, I guess it is, they've got a boat dock sitting out there, and they look like they've got plenty of view off to the lake. And I think the same thing would happen on this property. It's pretty wide between those two blue lines. You got to ignore the white dotted line and realize their property goes all the way blue line to blue line.
And the dock on the other side of the lot would let you see into the big part of the lake more, if that was a issue. But I really don't see a hardship here. I'm sorry.
Okay, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the request for the dock variance at 1 foot setback.
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All against? Is Peter here still?
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, and I'm abstaining, so.
This will be heard in front of the town council on August the 11th, 6 p.m.
Okay. Thank you all very much. I'm not used to doing this, but okay. We have one more item, which is, well, we have two more items.
One more variance.
Z20-9.
Yes, sir. As the chairman said, this case is Z20-09. The property is at 31 Pine Street. The owner of the property is Patricia Sweet Grafton. And the representatives are Mitch Powers and Bryce Grafton. The Graftons are online with us for this case to provide any additional input that you all would need. You all will probably recall this property, 31 Pine. Last year, the town, you all recommended approval, town council approved a variance for this home to do some additions to expand beyond the 10% limitation because of its nonconformity. So that was approved. And as part of that approval, the DRB and the council also then placed some conditions on that approval. And just generally what the conditions was requiring them to, if it was triggered, putting in an advanced septic system, putting in aquatic vegetation on 80% of the shoreline. And there was another one. And then the swale, and then the swale along the seawall. And those were the conditions. So the property was sold. The Graftons have purchased the property. They've owned it. And they are now looking to renovate the house. And actually gone by it recently to see they've already done a lot of cosmetic work to the property. As in their plans though, what triggered the need to come back, what they're doing wasn't accounted for in the original variance. On the back of the house where the additions were approved and the patios were approved, they're going to put roofs over top of them. They're going to make them covered porches, basically. And what triggered then was the way the code is written, anything that's under roof, we have to count as part of the gross floor area for the property. So when it went through the variance the first time, those kind of areas on top of the additions weren't shown as being covered. They were just roof areas. But with the plan that the Graftons have, they now are looking to put roofs over there, which then increase the floor area. However, what they're proposing with the house, it does not change the footprint in any way. It doesn't add any additional footprint. As you may recall, there was one addition that was not approved on the one side that was close to the lake. That's not going to be added. So they're not changing the footprint as was approved under the variance. They're simply just adding these kind of covered roofs over these porches, which then increase that floor area and that's what's triggered this to come back. The other part of their variance is then relating to the pool deck. There is an existing pool there on the property. It does not meet the setback. It's been there forever. It's been there. The decking needs to be repaired, needs to be replaced. They have requested to replace that decking around the pool with basically a larger area of decking. And why that triggers the variance is it brings the decking even closer to the normal high water. It's less than 50 feet. Currently, it's about 23 feet. Or it's about 22 and a half, 23 feet currently where the pool is. With their expansion of the decking, it would bring the decking to about 15.7 feet to the normal high water. The code does require pool decking to be at least 50 feet. So they are they're asking to be able to expand that part of it. They do understand the conditions that were placed under the original variance. And as I have in our staff report, those conditions would carry forward if this were to be approved, to allow them to do these additional revisions to the home. We did send out notices for this request. We did receive 11 in support of the variance. And we had 3 that were received back that were in support of the changes to the home, but they did not support the expansion of the pool deck. They did not want to see any further encroachment towards the lake with the pool deck. So the board is aware, if you were not to approve the expansion of the pool decking, they still could go in and renovate and replace the existing decking in place where it is today. They'll not make it any larger, but just replace the footprint as it currently is. But we did not receive any objections to the request. I will let the board know as well that the neighbor to the east, that's on the side of where the additions are happening, we did receive a letter of support from that neighbor that's closest to the east. And I did have several conversations with them as well. So that is my summary of the case. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And again, Mr. Scrafton are on the line here to provide any more information or answer any questions you have.
What do you mean they want to increase the roof coverage? Like,
So
I mean,
on the back side, if you look at the plans that they had submitted, the initial plan that was submitted, it just showed these additions going on that like for the porch on the back that were approved. What they're doing now is they're turning those areas into patios, covered patios. So they're putting roofs over there. When Mr. Nunley went through the variance a year or so ago, he didn't account for that. He just accounted for the addition. But as you see in the rendering, they're creating a series of patios on the back of the home. Again, it doesn't encroach any further with the additions, with what they're doing with the home on the back to beyond to what's already been approved.
Is this what we're looking at? Is that proposed?
That is proposed, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, Brad. I don't know if I heard it or wasn't paying attention, but what was approved previously?
So, and this is a good one to see. What was approved previously on the left-hand side of the home, looking from the back? That's an addition, the second-story addition there, the covered porch. On this picture, it'd be on the right-hand side. Was the addition on that side. There was also a patio here on the right side of the home on the back that was also approved. And so as you can see here, what they're doing, what they're asking to be able to do now is roof those addition areas to it.
Well, as far as the request is for a 15.7 foot setback from normal high water.
That's only relates to the pool deck. That's only relates to the pool deck. The house,
that wasn't that's new, or they've pulled that back. I don't.
The 15.7 would be new decking for the pool. They would, what you see in the rendering that's on your screen now, that's actually the existing decking that's on the property around the pool. They're looking to expand that decking, and that would have it encroach, go from about 23 feet to roughly a little bit over 15.5 feet from the normal high water. The house itself, it's not encroaching any closer to the water than it has already been approved for the property.
so
the
footprint is not changing of the house. The footprint's staying the same from what was approved before. It's just how they're treating the back of the house by putting these roofs on the back. You can
So-
see
So
on the-
right now, Brad, it's all flat, the whole back end. There's no shade off of the back of the house.
the way the variance was, it didn't account for any roofing on the back. It was just
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
How does that roofing, I don't understand why the roofing wouldn't affect what the house is. I mean,
It doesn't extend any further beyond where the additions were approved. It's only going over the areas that were already approved for the additions. So it's not changing the footprint of the house at all. It's just putting covers, it's just putting roof overhangs over these additions to turn them into porch areas.
so what part was approved? Can you show, like there on the lower east elevation? There
It's
is,
on the back, yeah. So it's the addition on the left-hand side on the east elevation.
yeah,
That was there was a second story addition here that was approved. There was a patio or a porch addition here. And there was also a porch addition on the first floor that was approved on the bottom right. What was denied, just so everybody's aware, there was another addition that was proposed to come further out here to the right, and that was denied. So that is not part of this. So there's still
And there's
working-
nothing, excuse me, there's nothing there now. It's just the side of the
Right,
house.
just the side of the house, correct. And that won't change. That'll still be that same side of the house.
so the two patios were there. Only thing they're talking about is from the, looks like the floor of the deck up, right?
Right.
Okay, I
So,
got it
yeah.
now.
Yes, sir.
Just
So-
putting the roof over the deck so that we can, we live in Florida and we have kids, sun exposure, things like that. So we just want to try to, make it a little
Yeah.
cooler.
And for the record, that was Miss Sweetgrafton who just.
Oh,
Right.
hi.
So right now, if you come out of the second floor, there's no deck.
There's no floor.
We haven't
There's
built the
we haven't
second
built
floor
it
yet.
yet.
Right, the second story is not, right, it has not been constructed yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
the proposed.
Brad, do we have any pictures of the current house or?
I don't have it
No.
in there. We
Okay.
don't have it in the agenda, but yeah, the house
it
as it
looks
currently
great,
sits. Yeah, it's just straight flat on the back.
Mhm.
and on
Yeah.
the front.
Yeah, there's no,
So where these windows all show right now, that was all approved. It's everything from the window out towards the lake that you want to
That's
shade.
that's approved as well.
Yeah, just
that was
shade.
approved
We
as
just
well.
want to
Just shade
shade. Just to bring
Right.
the roof line out to cover the decking that was already approved.
So
To cover where the chairs are?
Correct, right up there.
No.
Well,
Not the chairs by the pool.
No, just where the
no.
cursor is.
That you're circling with the pointer?
Those
Yeah.
two there,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, all that's approved is to the wall where the windows are, not the overhead.
no, it approved, it did approve the extension out, but on that approval, it just assumed that extension out, like there on the left-hand side where the pointer is, that would just be a flat roof. It wouldn't be like an area, a porch to be able to stand on or to use. So that's the difference. That it's now with what they're doing here, they're putting a roof over it, and that then triggers it being now counted part of as their gross floor area. And the same there to the right where the pointer is. Those extensions out were all approved. The difference now is they're actually using the area above those extensions to put these patios and these living areas.
So a second floor balcony, basically.
Yeah, basically is what they're doing. That's right.
Okay.
So why are we looking at this? Just the pool, I understand the pool deck would call for a variance.
With the
But now
house,
because we've increased the floor area, what is
Right.
that problem? What
right,
problem
because
is
the
it?
way we have to count gross floor area under the town's code is anything that's under roof. So that includes porches, covered porches. We have to include that in the calculation. And also when you approve these variances for people to go over the 10%, there's a limitation on that gross square footage that can be added because that's part of the variance. That's what you approve them to do. So by adding those roof areas that added beyond that gross floor area, even though they're not changing the footprint, they're just turning these areas into livable areas. And we did work with them to try and find ways to reduce or change other parts, but it really didn't work. And this was really the only way to get to where they wanted to be, was to come through the variance.
And if I may, we're still within the allowable FAR.
That's right. That's correct. They're within.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah, we're only, I believe we're only at about 27%, which
Right.
the max is what, 38%? Or?
Right.
This lot is a little bit misleading when you look at it. It's actually quite large. It's just in a very unusual shape.
Right.
So is the house, everything associated with the house is still 50 feet or more from the water, right?
No, it's actually the house, the existing house and the additions are less than 50 feet. They're, if I recall, they're roughly around 30-ish or 40, but they are less than 50. And that was part of that initial variance. But it was approved. So the extension out from the house was approved, and they're not going beyond that distance that they were.
So if they built the addition, whatever, 10 feet less, then they could stay within the original approved variance, right? I mean, it hasn't been built yet, right?
It hasn't been built yet, right? They would have to. Well,
we're not coming out any further regardless.
We're staying within what the allowable was approved in the last variance.
Yeah.
Is it just because you haven't built it yet and it's a more than a 10% increase? Is that why we're here? Is that why you're here?
Well, they're here because by doing these roofed areas, it increases the total gross floor area that was approved under the previous variance.
But it had, okay, I'm getting that. But you had concrete there and they want to put a roof on it. The house came out that far and now they just want to open that part of the house up and it be
the approval came out that far, not the existing house.
The approval.
Right. The variance, they got the approval to bring the house out. Now they just want to take that area and turn it into an area that they can use as part of their house.
As balconies instead of enclosed.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that other variance hadn't been approved, instead of approving the addition of, I don't know, I'm guessing 2,000 square feet, it would have been coming to us for an addition of 3,000 square feet.
It would have to, right. It would have to accommodate all the addition. Right. And here they've already got approval for the portion of it under the previous one. So now they have to get the additional.
And the hardship is that they can't live within those guidelines. They can't design.
The hardship that was found under the previous variance was when you look at the lot configuration, it is very unique. There's not many lots like this in town. It is very restricted in what could happen on that property. That was the hardship under the variance.
And if y'all remember, when this came, they wanted to add on to that north side that's along the lake too, but we didn't give them any variances for that side. We kept anything we allowed was away from the water side. It sounds like we've kind of approved this already, minus the pool deck thing.
Right.
It's the area we haven't approved. I mean, they
Right.
get certain square footage and now they're adding, what, 1,000 square feet more of area, Brad?
Is that due to the pool deck?
No, it's due to the second floor cover.
Oh, because they're covered.
Yes, they're adding about 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
A bit over 1,500 square feet. And it's just
We
because
really need to have existing site plans and elevations and proposed site plans and elevations, because I am totally confused. I thought what we just said was that the porch, the end of the porch before you would fall off, is where originally we had given approval, recommended approval for them to extend the house out there, which instead of taking the wall out, they just made it a porch.
Correct.
Right. And where the 1,500 square foot comes from is now when they put the roof on top of those areas where the extensions were approved, we now have to calculate those areas under those roofs. So it doesn't change what was approved before in terms of the extension out from the back of the house. It simply allows them to put roofs over those extensions to turn them into usable balconies.
And the impervious and floor area are within
The floor area impervious are within the 38% and 45% limitation, and they would still be subject to the conditions of the advanced septic, the plantings of the vegetation, as well as the swale and berm along the seawall.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. And the motion divides this thing into a couple of parts. I make a motion that we deny any further extension of the pool deck towards the lake.
Second.
Okay.
Have we
haven't
spoken
discussed
of-
this at all, but is there any discussion?
Oh, can we speak to the pool deck? I didn't know we had gotten there yet. I thought we were
Yeah.
taking this in two parts, in the
I
in the
sort of
home
am.
and then.
I'm trying to get rid of the easy part first.
Yes, go ahead and speak to the pool deck.
So for the pool deck, if we can explain a little bit, these pictures, this is not the current pool deck.
Right, yeah.
So currently, we've suffered sort of improper site design, whereas the draining is really not ideal for the property. So we fixed the drainage in the front of the yard. We had a collapsing seawall. We fixed all that. So our intent is to provide proper drainage in the backyard and then upgrade the kind of dated and failing, eroded, it's just deteriorating around the pool deck. I included some pictures in the thing, but we're also trying to have the design just make a little bit more sense.
And if I may, one of the issues with the pool, the way, for some reason, the way they built it, and they're making these twists and turns and that sort of thing. We had our father out about 2 months ago, and it's only about a 3-foot wide narrow path, and it curves back and forth the way with the pool, right? And he fell off and sprained his ankle, and he had already suffered a stroke a couple of years ago. So it's hard for him to maneuver through anything over there. So even if we just made a straight line to where there's more of like
an actual walkway,
even a, I don't know what the ADA standards are or anything like that, but to where the walkway around the pool is easier to navigate. That's more of the issue than anything. It doesn't, and it doesn't have to go, that far closer to the lake or anything like that, but it's more of, I'd love to have everybody come out and walk the pool deck, because it's difficult to do, and Brad's been out and he's seen it. So
and, can you see the drawing that's up now?
Yeah.
So the pool deck, it shows the white area, and then it shows the deck area, which I think are the crosshatched lines. Is the pool deck that's existing that white area now? Is that the limit of the pool deck currently?
Yes, sir. That is that white area there. That's
Okay.
as Mr. Raffin said, it's very narrow, as you can see there.
Okay.
And then the striped area is where they're looking to do the expansion.
And while we're on this picture, on this sheet again, there's a faint line that runs like where it runs, if you see that aluminum fence mark down toward the bottom, and that other, I don't know what that area is, below the pool. There's where you had your cursor on it, right? There's a faint line running through the M and the N, or right? Does that line have any meaning? And it runs up the sheet. Is that, but then it kind of veers left a little bit, or veers to the right and cuts the corner of the house. Does that line have any meaning at all? I mean, right
Is
there.
it a setback line?
That's what I'm wondering. But does anybody know if that line means anything?
I don't think it does, because the 50 feet's well beyond there. I'm not sure what the line is.
Because there's another.
Actually, that's actually a line representing a 4-foot aluminum fence. Out there now.
Oh. So I'm looking at the similar picture, but it's got red X's and says no impervious surface is closer to the lake, and a line that comes down the side of the pool there.
And that's a comment, I believe, from Mr.
That's
Fay.
right. That's a comment from one of the residents in the area.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Right.
All right.
I lost picture altogether. I got everybody's faces. I can't see the graphic.
Uh-oh. Okay.
It's, I don't know if you see it at home anywhere, Steve, but see, it's sheet C101, the site plan sheet that we were looking at.
I've got the document up on my other computer here, yes, but
Okay.
I can't see it on the Zoom.
I can't help you.
Yeah. It's page 74.
Hi there, we're back.
Yeah, sorry, we lost power there for a second.
Okay. I don't think you missed much.
No.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
We were like, man,
Yeah.
right when we're up to bat.
We just discussed a faint line, that runs along, if you're looking at sheet C101 with this now, can you see that?
Let's see.
Yes,
That faint line where the
Right.
cursor's going, does that line mean anything?
it does not.
Okay.
No.
There's no line showing the 50-foot setback on here then?
No, it's.
Oh.
Which I'm sure that's not it, but I didn't know if that.
I mean,
The
yeah,
50 foot would actually go up into the existing house.
right,
And through the pool and everything else, probably.
right. Yeah, this house definitely wouldn't have been built today.
I didn't know if that was the variance that we had approved previously or something, because it goes right to the corner of the house where it somewhat goes to the corner of the house without the
Basically, no, that what you guys had approved earlier with the decks and everything like that, it looks like it's a light gray shaded area.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So those are the decks that were approved at the last variance, and I mean it was kind of tough for us to understand as well, and I apologize that our architect's not on here with us, but what we're asking for is basically just to extend the roof over the already approved
Area.
deck area that we're getting ready to build. So
Okay, so we were still in the middle of when you left.
right.
Or you didn't leave, but when you were disconnected, we were still discussing the roof deck. I mean, the pool deck. But,
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
anyway, I was curious because that line started well below and worked its way up, and I didn't know if it had anything.
I don't know if the architect used that for something
I'm
or,
not sure.
but
Okay.
but no, that doesn't reference anything.
But the drainage and the swale is what we're going to put all that in. That does not currently exist. That's
right.
also what we plan to do. So there's really not a lot of good drainage on the site. So
Right.
that's our intention, is to make all that, environmentally a little more friendly.
Well, and it's just when you walk around the pool right now, it's just not a safe. It doesn't.
not.
There's not enough pool decking around
Right.
the side of the pool.
It's really
it's
maybe
like
like
a narrow.
2.5 feet maybe, and then
2.5, 3
the
feet.
edge of it is eroded, so you kick your feet on it. So that has to be fixed too. And where it is against the grass, it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see this picture, but I've got a picture of the previous agenda.
Oh man.
Oh, interesting.
With the pool decking as it exists,
Oh, cool. Okay.
illustrate what you described.
Well, that's what it says. This is the existing deck. The white spot is all the existing, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and the hash part is what you guys would like to add.
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
On the decking, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Real quick, Dorothy, for the record, I think Norma and Jennifer were kicked off. I think they had an internet issue over there in Windermere, so they are now back.
I'm back, yes.
Okay, I can hear
Oh,
you.
I think we all had
all
the same
did.
issue then, because it hit all of us.
Yeah, I was gone.
Yeah, us too.
I'm back up.
Well, that was exciting.
Yeah. Technology's great when it works.
Yeah, this is Jim Salmon. I live at number 8 Pine Street. I live right down the street from Bryce and Jade. And if you could have seen the house before they started with just the cosmetics on the outside, they have really added to the value of the street with what they've done so far. And I know we've already supported this, our letters on record, but I'd just like to go out to all the town councilmen and say what they're wanting to do, we support it. What they've already done for our street has added value to the entire street on the end that we're on. And I just ask you to support this. They're good people, and I think what they're doing is a good thing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Well, they certainly got a lot of letters back in support. The concern, I think, one of the main concerns is the lake and the deck. And that's what we were trying to discuss when everybody got dropped. So,
Gotcha.
yes, if we can get back to that, there is a drawing that one of the neighbors submitted with his comments. That is sheet 80 of 88. That kind of show, now that we've seen the picture that Bill showed us, if those that did, the existing pool deck is the area, the pool and the existing pool deck is the area in white on the drawings. The new proposed pool deck is the crosshatch area. So
I have a question. Is there a pervious material that can be used? But then that would be a structure closer to the lake, I guess.
If it were to be like gravel or mulch, that would not have a setback. If it's but
gravel.
It is elevated as well. That's a seawall right there, that line. So it's a good 3 feet off the beach.
The line you're seeing is 3.5, 4 foot seawall that's there.
So that anything you would put there, whether it be, we'd like to do wood decking potentially, but it's not going to touch the lake at all.
Right. Yeah,
I don't really see there being a big drainage issue there. Like that site is elevated where they're struggling with, and the fact that they previously agreed to put native planting in and do things to
So would it be dangerous if it's only a 3 foot walkway, decking versus 2.5?
Well, so it's between the seawall and the actual pool. So right now there's dirt or grass, and then maybe 2.5 feet of broken concrete, and then the coping and the water. So we're trying to just have that make a little bit more sense and be easier to walk there.
Right. Yeah, the drawing that you got from one of the neighbors, we're not necessarily opposed to that drawing if we could potentially just have more of a walkway around the pool in that area. And what we're just trying to do is make it kind of a straight line like that anyway. So we got rid of all the curves on this pool deck, because that's where it's really dangerous and everything like that. So even if we took that straight line and brought it maybe out 1.5 feet, 2 feet this way, we'd be fine with that. This is just a drawing that our architect came up with, and but we're just trying to make it more functional for more people, and not break any ankles, because right now that's the problem we're having. So we're constantly having to put dirt and that sort of thing up before we fix anything.
It's not our place to be designers or anything, but your house is so cool and modern and everything. And the pool is like 1950s.
Right.
With that shape. Have you considered putting a rectangle pool in? Have you
I would
thought
love,
of
I mean,
that?
I would love that. If you would,
Yeah.
I would, if you would allow that.
No,
I would love
that
it.
costs way too much money.
We were trying to just kind of renovate the
I
current
just want to make a straight
shape.
line.
Okay.
We were trying to renovate
Just a
just the
thought.
pool as it was to save a little bit of money and put the money into, you know,
Into the house.
into the house.
Yeah, I understand
It's-
that totally.
Currently, it's a 3-bedroom and we have 3 kids, so we're kind of stacked as it is.
Yeah.
So we were hoping with the previously approved variance to add, that's going to be master and office and stuff upstairs, and then
Yeah.
so it'd just be nice to be able to cover those.
And there's like a little round area at the very end of your property. Does that say environmental? What is that?
So basically, we're trying to get all the drain water and all the runoff, everything like that, to go into a swale down there.
Okay.
That hasn't currently been built, but that's where the engineers and everybody else that we've had out basically recommend where we do that and where that kind of
Where it
is
sits.
going to live.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's plenty of room for it.
That's
There,
a
the property-
grassy
and
beach area.
That's kind of what redoing the pool actually helps with as well. The way, you know, we can pitch different things and that sort of thing to where it's going to make everything, you know,
Go there.
basically run right to that swale area, as opposed to what it does now.
Which is just mud the pool.
Kind of run it. I mean, there's no there's no
Yeah.
direction to anything right now.
Yeah.
So
I actually photographed this house a couple years ago when it was for sale.
Oh, okay.
Before it got the variances. So I'm
Oh,
pretty
cool.
familiar. I remember that skinny little pool
yeah.
area.
It's a cool property though. I mean, we're really happy with it. It's just going to be nice to kind of have it make a little more sense, you know.
And like
design-wise
like
and
what Jim said,
safety-wise.
we're just trying to make it look nice, like everybody else's house, you know, in the neighborhood. So, but
Is your father in a wheelchair?
no, I mean, it's a long story, but he had a brain surgery, so he's kind of he's still rehabbing, but he's kind of paralyzed on his right side.
Okay.
So, but he can still walk. It's just
difficult.
Yeah.
So rolling that ankle was not
Yeah,
good.
and he had a rough fall out on
Yeah.
our pool deck right there on that side, to where there's only, you know, it was either fall or, you know, fall in the pool. So yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
He leaned the right way though.
Right.
He didn't get
did.
wet.
He did. Yeah, I didn't have to jump in after him, thankfully.
So you basically want to go to the edge of the seawall there. There'll be a little space between the deck and the seawall for like plants or something.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. And the seawall, like we said, is 3.5 to 4 feet above the lake. And then there's, you know, from where the normal high water line is, you know, I think it's
You got a lot of beach
10
there.
feet, 15
Mhm.
feet, depends on the water levels at that point.
Right.
But
Where is the high water line there? Is it up on the property?
that's the, no,
It's
no,
the,
it's, yeah.
it's the dashed line. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you can see the shape of the seawall in there. Well, and it says existing concrete retaining wall.
Yes.
That's,
Oh, I see it now.
That's
Yep.
all this seawall. And it basically stops right where it curves right there, where we're going to put in the swale down there. So basically what we're going to do when we reconstruct, if we can reconstruct, you know, the pool area and everything like that, is just push all the drainage coming from the front and then down into the sides of the house, and basically everything kind of wind right there into the middle of that swale.
Mhm.
Okay, I've lost track. We had a motion, and was that seconded? I think it was.
I had seconded it.
It was for the pool deck.
This was for the pool deck. Yes.
Right.
What was the motion? Stephen made the
Oh.
motion.
Deny.
to deny any further encroachment on the 50-foot setback.
Okay.
That's for doing anything on the pool deck?
That's to deny a 50-foot setback, so.
Deny anything, any further impervious surface inside the 50-foot setback. For the pool.
Related to the pool, okay.
What is considered impervious?
It won't soak water in it.
Okay.
Water won't run through it.
So wood decking with grass or dirt underneath is considered pervious?
Depends on how it's designed and installed. If there's appropriate gaps and something your engineer would have to certify that is natural ground. But so everyone is aware though that the 50-foot setback would not allow any of the pool deck addition because all of that's within the 50-foot setback.
Really?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
The whole pool.
The whole pool is, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 50-foot setback goes all the way up into the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Existing house.
So it never, yeah.
It wouldn't exist if you built it there today. It couldn't on the property.
Right.
Stephen, would you modify your proposal to allow for impervious covering, decking?
You mean
Or pervious, I'm sorry, pervious decking?
Possibly. I really don't like the idea of encroaching on our lakes at all. But I think there are pervious materials that allow drainage. But I think it's also activity and everything else that goes on next to the pool lake. So I think you want to keep, pool parties away from the edge of the lake. It's my, but there is options for doing some pervious surface that be around this pool that would not be so offensive to the lakeside. So what would you suggest, Peter?
Well, I think the pool is there. I think to allow the decking if it's in a pervious decking.
So you mean something like what we just discussed, wood decking that's over gravel or something?
Right, right. And what we do require when they go through permitting with those kinds of issues is that we have an engineer has to certify, and actually the Grafton have been through this process once with us already, to verify that to verify that it is pervious. So we do have verification of the
Gotcha.
Well, and their floor area ratio is a good ways under at this point, is what we
That's
talked
correct.
about, right?
Right. The floor area and their impervious, their total impervious for the site as a whole is under the.
I mean, if there was ever a triangle-shaped lot in town, this is just about it.
Yeah, the lot is a very, very unusual.
Yeah.
However, when you buy an unusual lot, you have to have unusual solutions, and that's what you follow.
Yeah.
If I wanted a rectangular lot, and I paid more money for it and whatever, I want a Cadillac.
I got it. So,
Okay.
so Stephen, the question was, are you friendly to modifying your motion that if they put in pervious material, that was.
Let's do this. Let's leave the motion the second as it stands and see how the vote goes.
Okay, so Stephen's not friendly to that, then I hear. So all in favor of denying the motion that Stephen submitted it or whatever, related to the pool deck. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
I'm a no. So.
I'm a no.
Okay, good. So now that we know where we stand, so let's go back and negotiate.
I didn't hear
And real quick, again, just so everybody knows that, because I know, sir, you had a problem with people being down by the lake and that sort of thing, but it's an elevated surface that doesn't connect to the lake in any way. There's a barrier. There's a barrier there that
It's 3.5 feet up.
yeah, it doesn't, like the lake and the pool deck don't touch each other.
I know,
You know?
it just seems to be worse when you make it elevated, but okay.
Well, but we have stairs on either side, so there's really 2 access points, you know, on either side of the seawall.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Sorry. Didn't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah.
Norma, can I get your vote on that, please?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve with pervious decking or covering.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
I have 3 no's and 3 yeses.
I voted yes on his motion.
I have Rose, Withers, and Sutton as a yes. As a no, I have Roper, Chase, and Fleck.
Okay.
Oh, I voted against denying it.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm a no.
That's what I heard. So,
Thank you.
I believe if you play the tape back, you'll hear that.
So it's
Either
4-2.
way, if it's a tie, it dies.
Guys, anyway.
Right, but Norma did vote against the denial, so.
Gotcha. Just clarifying.
Okay.
So,
Mr.
so those of you that denied it, do you have another motion?
Peter was working on one.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve with a pervious surface, decking or some other pervious surface.
Can you add engineered pervious surface?
Engineered pervious surface.
So I have a question. If they were going to do that, they wouldn't even have to come before us, right?
Brad?
Right, well,
Still the setback though.
if it's, one of the issues about coming before you is if it's a structure or not, and that kind of falls under the Florida Building Code. So basically, if it's elevated 2 feet or 2 feet or more above grade, technically it's a structure, and then it would still have to come to you even though it was pervious. So by doing this motion, we're covered if you approve it for them to come in and with a pervious surface that's engineered.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize the pool was raised. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll
Second it. Norma. I'm every way tonight.
So the request is for 15.7 foot variance from normal high water. Does that include, I'm a little confused on what that variance is concerning. Is that the pool deck and the structure, the new balcony, Brad?
No, that's only for the pool deck. It's only for the pool.
So because the house was approved prior to this, the structure for the new elevated structure of the balcony, I guess, is we haven't dealt with that yet, but that's really, what was that setback?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember what it was, but they're not changing that footprint or that setback as it was approved under the previous.
I get it. And I believe that there was some discussion about the pool deck at that time, or am I confusing it with another? I might be confused.
I believe there was, but they didn't address it under that variance, but there was some discussion about it, yes.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to see if my memory was.
Yeah,
okay.
you remember correctly.
So we have a motion and a second, and any other discussion?
Can you read the motion back, please? I think it was approved with pervious.
improve with engineering, improve the pervious surface with engineering.
Sorry, engineered pervious surface.
Right.
Engineer pervious surface.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So what do we need to do with we still need to approve the balcony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we need a motion to either approve or deny the addition of the balconies.
The addition of 804 square feet.
Is it the roof line?
It's
just the roof line, right?
Motion to approve.
Right.
Second.
Who's second?
Peter did.
Thank you.
okay. So the vertical, while we're on this page right here, the right-hand column on the column on the far right, that one there, is that is currently not part of their construction plans. It was approved previously, but yet the patio down below was. Is that correct?
Well, that was going to be a covered patio, so that corner would be there if they were to construct what was previously.
It was going to be a covered patio before.
Yes. Right.
So what the addition, again, I'm sorry to have to go, is the second floor balcony is the addition?
The second floor, right, by putting the roof over top of that first floor patio, that now turns that into gross floor area that we have to account for.
Oh, okay.
So it's
So there
it's
was a
basically
low-
the eave.
There was
right?
a low roof.
Just the eve.
Just the
Yes. Just the eve.
Moving the eve.
They had a covered patio on the back already. It just didn't go all the way to the corner. It stopped
But
at
the
the window
second
on the
floor
bottom.
balcony was not covered? Is that?
They had a rear patio, but not a balcony before.
No, but what we approved, Jennifer, don't go with what they had. So
We
we're
approved the
looking-
balconies, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not the,
Just not the roof.
Not the roof
the
line.
roof.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mhm.
They're bringing the roof out to where we approved the balcony. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. We should have said it like that, Molly.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it. I like the look,
There
and
is
it's
one.
not making it any worse.
I've already made the
Already
motion.
made a motion. We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Norma?
Aye.
Okay.
Done.
Thank y'all. Thank
Good
you so
luck.
much.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Thank
The
you.
Thank
council
you.
will hear this next month. Wait for the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, we can't go to construction now?
No, we just tell it what we think they should do.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Have
Take
a
care.
great night.
Right.
Okay, so our final
Chickens.
item. Yeah.
The
Wow. That was really hard to understand, Brad. Do better next time.
I'm sorry. It took us a long time to get there with the applicant too. so.
Well, I think Jennifer was right. It's not, you need to have the before and after to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I was cheating because I had photographed this house, so I've been looking at the pictures. I just couldn't figure out how to let you guys see them. Sorry, but the house is not really any bigger, just taller.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about chicken.
Yeah, on
Liz only had-
on this one, this was a request from a resident on Pine Street that notified some council members, and then we took it to council whether or not they would entertain an ordinance that would allow chickens within residential areas. They were receptive to that, and what they said was, well, take something to do, meaning go to other jurisdictions, ordinances and how they restrict or allow chickens or hens in residential areas. Bring it to town, bring it to DRB, let them take a look at the ordinance. We pretty much threw in the kitchen sink as far as, setbacks, amounts, everything that you would think you would include in an ordinance relative to allowing chickens on a piece of property, and then see what you would like, see what you would change, see what you would add, and then take whatever recommendation to town council at the August meeting. You can be in favor of it, you can be against it, or you can recommend a revised ordinance to the town council, and that's why we're here tonight. We did look at Winter Garden, Orange County, and several others. They typically have the same type of requirements, meaning that it's only hens, your max is 4, you have to have a permit for it, you can't sell, and there's no slaughtering. What we wanted to make sure is that we included the right to inspect as well. And then some do require educational requirements prior to you having the permit. So with that, Brad and I are here to answer any questions. And I think we do have some people that have submitted comments relative to this subject matter. And we did read those for the record.
Good. Did you guys look at whatever Key West did that they didn't do right? Because they have an out of control chicken problem.
They love them.
Yeah, but they're out of control.
I don't believe we looked at Key West. We looked at surrounding jurisdictions. I know that I think Winter Garden does allow for the chickens. I think it all came to be because I think an autistic kid, wanted a chicken and it helped him.
Yeah, they came to us 2 years ago, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but I believe they only have 4 or 5 permits citywide for the chickens. But remember, Winter Garden's a lot of them are HOAs. So whether or not, we have several HOAs where this wouldn't be allowed, but you're looking at pretty much the old platted areas where this would be put into place.
So the real issue is that if the neighbors have to put up with excess noise and smell, right? I mean, otherwise, why would we care that they have chickens?
Well, I think a permit would, or an ordinance, if we wanted to do it, would help control that. I've made some notes on what I think, although a friend of mine told me, y'all are really getting into something here, because what will be next? A pig, or, I mean, we could keep horses and cows out because of the lot sizes.
Yeah.
But as far as a pig, you could keep a pig in like very small area. And I think it's wonderful to have chickens. I love yard eggs. They're great. So I'm really on the fence with this one.
Well,
but I do have some
I'm not on the
thoughts.
fence. I'm adamantly opposed.
Okay.
We are not a farm area. We are not a wooded area. We're an upscale residential area. I think it's absurd. Bottom line.
Yeah, I worry about it invading into other people's happiness. I don't know.
I don't want chickens next door.
You've had chickens next door.
I got 4 kids. I love that, but chickens? I don't know.
I would like to say there are some positive things in this code, not positive towards owning chickens, but I was concerned when I first heard about this and knew we'd be reviewing it. I was concerned about chicken coops and their structure. I'm glad to see that they're permitted. I'm assuming that includes engineering to show that they're going to be tied down properly or whatever and not blow away into neighboring
Hurricane
houses.
flying chickens.
I did take the time to read the Solomons letter before before it was read aloud on tonight.
Yeah.
But, and there were some good points made there, just as far as clarifying some certain items.
Yeah.
For legal, clean up a little bit. But so if we were going to go down this road, I think we've addressed a lot of things that I was originally concerned about. I don't know about going down the road though. So that's.
I just don't think it's the right road for Windermere.
Yeah.
Before we go down this rabbit hole, did you just want to go ahead and see if anybody would make a motion to not allow this type of activity within town? And then if that fails, then go into the meat and potatoes of the ordinance.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do not recommend this.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion before we vote?
I'm going to consider a lot of things with my vote. I'd like to discuss it at least. Can we discuss once the second's made and then vote, or?
Yes.
I made the second.
So we can discuss and then vote?
Yeah.
Or we're going to vote and then what are we going to do?
Well, Robert's thinking that if we vote and it's a done deal one way or the other,
then we can go home, or we can turn off our computers.
Well, the reason I say that is because, again, we can get into the nuts and bolts of the ordinance, but if we can talk about this for the next 2 hours, but if the overall feeling of the DRB is that they don't want this 100%, then what's the point of getting into the actual nuts and bolts of this?
Exactly.
I agree.
Agree. Call for the vote.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? We are voting again on not, we're in just whatever we are voting.
Leave our ordinances as they are.
Leave it as, So all in favor?
Aye.
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 No. I'd like to discuss it, but.
Stephen?
No.
Okay, so it's 4-2. The motion passes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we won't discuss that anymore, but I'm curious, was the council really liking this idea, or?
I don't believe they would have sent it to you if they didn't. Again, there was a mix of, whether they wanted to support it or not. But they just wanted to take it back to DRB because we are changing our land development code to allow something that hasn't been allowed in the past. Right. So they can go with your recommendation of a no, or they can go ahead and hammer out some of the restrictions that they like or don't like if they were to reverse the recommendation.
The only concern I had, Jennifer, go ahead.
Well, in that case, then if the council did wish to proceed with it anyway, they would have all the public input and all that, and I bet it'd be a crowd. So yeah. I think that'll be just fine either way it goes. I mean, I don't really want a bunch of chicken. Well, with chicken poop comes flies too.
It's a farm.
Right.
Exactly. It's a rural area.
It's just flies. That's the main thing.
No, and poop and all that other stuff that goes with it.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Robert, can I talk to you after the meeting?
Sure.
Good night.
Everybody stay healthy. Thank you.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chicken poop for everybody.